Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
A tearful plea for the withdrawal of controversial land legislation in Antigua and Barbuda. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, April 25th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. There were tears in the Parliament of Antigua and Barbuda on Tuesday as Parliamentary Representative for Barbuda Trevor Walker begged Prime Minister Gaston Brown to withdraw the Crown Lands Regulation Amendment Acts 2018. The bill would govern lands on both islands, changing the age-old system of communal ownership that has existed on Barbuda for decades. And it's a move that most Barbudans are against. We get more in this report from Andy Liebert of ABS News.
The issue has been an emotive one, the type which is typically associated with land ownership in many countries. No less the case for Barbuda, and the MP Trevor Walker showed this emotion as he broke down while pleading with the Prime Minister to withdraw the bill.
It grieves me, Mr. Speaker. It grieves me. See, we're at this Parliament, at this session, Mr. Speaker. It grieves me. Grieves me. Grieves me to see we're here. Grieves me. Prime Minister, with all due respect, I ask you to pull back this bill and let the Barbudan people speak to you and your government. Pull it back.
Walker pointed out that he is not opposed to development, but not at the exclusion of the residents of the island, whom he says should have a say in the creation of a vision for the future growth and development of Barbuda.
Our vision for Barbuda, Mr. Speaker, is a low-density island that attracts tourism development of a low density, sustainable development, Mr. Speaker, where the land is utilized, including agriculture, and for us to have a situation, Mr. Speaker, where we have good access to education. Now, the question is, Antigua and Barbuda is one unitary state, but if Barbuda way of life and culture is going to change drastically over time, then these are matters that must be discussed. Because, for example, if a hotel is built in Barbuda that employs 500-600 people, it's going to totally change Barbuda and the way of life overnight. Now, the question is that what the Barbudan people want? And if not, how do we deal with that matter going forward?
Unmoved by Walker's tears and admonished the Barbuda MP to behave more responsibly.
Is not to come here with no crocodile tears. Stand up as a man. You've been elected to represent the people of Barbuda. I challenge you to stand up as a man in this honorable house, not to cry like a child, like a cry baby. Stand up like a man, and you say to the people of this nation how the Barbudans became owners of the land in Barbuda.
Currently, Barbudans can own lands on mainland Antigua, but Antiguans cannot own land in Barbuda. Brown insists this system is unfair and must be changed.
We just spent $50 million building a new runway. And a runway alone is not an airport. So we have more buildings and more facilities to construct. And you're telling me with all of these funds that we are spending in Barbuda, that you have the gumption to tell us that we don't have the rights on the land in Barbuda? That can be fair. That could be a fair system. Think about these things, member for Barbuda. You and those who are so inclined to think that we don't have any rights to the land in Barbuda. We have every right, as Barbudans do, just as Barbudans have every right to land in Antigua.
Well, Trinidad and Tobago's National Security Minister Edmund Dillon says only 3 of the 82 Venezuelans who were controversially deported last weekend had asylum certificates from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the UNHCR. But he said they had abandoned their asylum claims in writing through the Living Water Community, a religious-based organization that works with the UN Refugee Agency. Dillon maintained that the Venezuelans wanted to go back home as Opposition Senator Wade Mark sought clarification about whether any of the deportees had asylum certificates.
Also expressly and voluntarily agreed to their repatriation on 2 separate occasions, which were recorded, Madam President. Trinidad and Tobago acceded to the 1951 Refugee Convention and the 1967 Protocol relating to the status of refugees in 2000. This is noted, Madam President, that only the United Kingdom thus far was ratified this treaty. No other country has done that so far, only the United Kingdom. And therefore, Trinidad and Tobago has not enacted those laws within the domestic legislation of Trinidad and Tobago.
Dillon and Attorney General Faris Alwari on Tuesday met with the UN Resident Coordinator and Protection Officer of the UNHCR to discuss the matter. 53 Venezuelan men and 29 women were repatriated from the Immigration Detention Center last Saturday. And Dillon noted that the use of a military aircraft to transport them to their homeland was standard operating procedure.
UNHCR engages in an investigation of the claims to establish whether the applicant expresses a fear of return to his country of origin or last habitual residence based on a well-founded fear of persecution. That is, reason of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group or political opinion, and qualifies as an asylum seeker.
Meanwhile, there's a call for a change to the Twin Island Republic's refugee policy. Attorney Rajiv Prasad believes the country's position on asylum seekers contradicts international human rights policies. We get more in this CNC3 news report.
Calls from various quarters continue to pour in for the authorities to do more to protect refugees and asylum seekers.
It's important that the homeless, we need to appreciate that how we treat people is going to have a knock-on effect on what type of society we become. And this is yet another example of us not getting it right. And hopefully it will be a lesson for us that we make that movement towards becoming a more civilized, compassionate society.
The furor surrounding the recent deportation of 82 Venezuelan nationals is rooted in the confusion over whether or not legitimate asylum seekers were sent back home. According to human rights activist Elizabeth Solomon, the process to protect those at risk of being persecuted has failed.
The very clear processes that should be put in place so that you can process people. And then the second part, of course, is the non-return. Non-refoulement. You cannot return people to the place from which they have run, basically. These processes are what are so critical because people who fall out of the system or never manage to get into the system end up being victims of all kinds of human rights abuses.
Attorney Rajiv Prasad believes this country's position on asylum seekers is contrary with international human rights policies.
If it turns out that persons who had pending applications, who were awaiting a determination on refugee status, were picked up and returned, yes, it's a clear breach of international conventions. Again, I agree with Elizabeth. I have no reason to believe it was intentional. But the simple point is you cannot, on one hand, say and speak the language of adhering to international conventions and we respect human rights, but then carry out a policy that is absolutely inconsistent.
Both maintain that the government must work expeditiously to implement policies regarding asylum seekers to prevent future instances of confusion.
And still to come in Caribbean Newsline, a regional health official advises caution in decriminalizing marijuana. Stay with us. There's more news after the break.
The Career Development Institute's Caribbean Rising Stars in Beauty competition determines the best and most talented in hair, makeup, nails, or barbering. Win a scholarship and prizes worth more than $5,000. Build your clientele and expand your business. Upload 4 photographs of your best work to our email address. Watch the public vote on our Facebook page. Join the winners at the prestigious Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center for a live finals competition. Email careerdevelopment.institute@yahoo.com. The Career Development Institute, bringing the best in regional beauty together.
Be watching on May 12th as the Anthony N. Sapka Caribbean Awards for Excellence is broadcast live from the Pegasus Hotel in Jamaica. Join us from 6:30 p.m. as Kai Miller of Jamaica, Noel and Siobhan Joseph of Trinidad and Tobago, Andrew Boyle of Guyana, and Adesh Ramsubag of Trinidad and Tobago receive $500,000 TT, a medal and citation for their work in the arts, sciences, public and civic contributions, and entrepreneurship.
FAS Promotions in association with Hot 95.3 FM present the Digicel Reggae on the Hill, Farley Hill National Park, Sunday, April 29. Gates open at 11 a.m. Featuring Everton Blender, Queen Ifrica, Jacure, Taris Riley, but anytime you decide if you pack up your things and leave, don't come back. Maxi Priest, Anthony B, plus Right Side A-Red, Tabitha, King Slim, Triple X, Easy B, Khalid, Superstar, Danny, Project X-Men, MCs, Peter Coffin, Jamar the Stars. Get your tickets from the official box offices or ticketlinks.com. The Digicel Reggae on the Hill, Farley Hill National Park, Sunday, April 29.
A warning to regional countries to proceed with an abundance of caution when it comes to decriminalizing marijuana. It comes from Executive Director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, Dr. James Hospitalis. He acknowledges the Caribbean has a problem with marijuana and clogging up of the courts and justice systems, and he says that it is understandable to try and reduce that side effect.
I think, though, in introducing those kinds of public policies, consideration has to be given to the full range of impact. Because we don't want that, okay, you solve the problem, so to speak, of reducing the burden in the judicial system and the prisons and so on, and you create a great surge in increases in mental health admissions for marijuana addiction and other addictions. What I think needs to happen is that there should be strong public education concomitant with decriminalization if governments proceed along that route. There needs to be proper monitoring of the impact of these policies.
Hospitalis says there are reports by chief medical officers in some countries of major increases in admissions for mental health problems associated with marijuana psychosis and increased use. He says the whole pictures must be considered when making a public policy decision. And he adds that research has shown that a significant percentage of young people in the Caribbean already use marijuana, even if infrequently.
The harmful consequences of this are well documented to mental health, to social interactions, to occupational opportunities. It is not good for your studies, in short, if you're a young person, a student. It's very bad for your studies. And it tends to demotivate a lot of young people who, I think most Caribbean people are aware of others around us in our families or among friends who have not achieved their potential because they've been smoking weed most of their lives, to be plain, or they have a problem with it. So we do see significant medical harm, social and occupational harm that say you should take this thing seriously and not be too free with it. And there needs to be a proper regulation of the use of a substance like that.
Belize law enforcement are investigating an unscheduled plane landing on a road in a remote area in the Orange Walk district. The landing is alleged to have occurred in the early hours of Tuesday morning. No definitive information has been forthcoming from law enforcement, but it is suspected that the unusual landing could be linked to the drug trade. It is the 6th unscheduled landing in remote areas in Belize for the year so far, and it comes days after Attorney General Michael Prefitt expressed suspicion about Belize being named a major drug transshipment point in the recently released International Narcotics Control Strategy. We get more in this report from Dwayne Moody of Belize Channel 5 News.
Unofficially, we are told that the aircraft is a twin-jet mid-sized business jet, similar to that of a Hawker 800. which was produced between 1962 and 2013. The plane has a maximum takeoff weight of 25,000 pounds, and its empty weight is about half that amount. Compared to the Beechcraft, the plane can travel longer distances and can carry a greater cargo. But all its contents had been removed before police arrived on the scene. Scorch marks on the left wing of the plane suggests that an attempt to burn the plane was unsuccessful. Residents say that early this morning, around 3 o'clock, they heard the sound of a low-flying plane in the area, and around 5 a.m. the discovery was made. Caneros transferring cane to the mill say that they saw markers on the ground overnight. Police guarded the aircraft as personnel from the Civil Aviation Department conducted their investigation into the unauthorized landing. Representatives on behalf of the U.S. Embassy in Belize also arrived after midday to do their own inspection of the aircraft. The recent U.S. State Department's International Narcotics Control Strategy report states that Belize's drug control efforts are hampered by the same challenges faced by the rest of the country's security sector: corruption, insufficient investigative capacity, an ineffective judicial sector, and a lack of political will.
What evidence do they have? They have not presented to us any evidence to demonstrate why it is they believe that. Oh, based on what? Based on what they're saying we're a major transshipment point.
The domestic that's the Dominica Electricity Company, Domlec, says it won't be able to meet its deadline to provide every customer with electricity by the end of this month. Electricity supply to the island was cut off after Hurricane Maria tore through the island last September, killing at least 30 people and destroying most of the island's infrastructure. Nearly 8 months later, Dominica, that's the Domlec General Manager, Batilia McKenzie, says that due to the challenges experienced, the process of restoration will be extended past April. She says Domlec remains committed to providing access to all of their customers within the shortest possible time. And she adds that nearly 100 linesmen from the region are on the island and are expected to remain until the restoration process is completed. McKenzie says the manpower challenge has been addressed and additional equipment is expected to arrive in May. As pressure mounts on Barbados to repeal its buggery laws and legalize same-sex marriages, a former magistrate says she sees nothing wrong with people who are openly gay serving in the cabinet. Faith Marshall Harris told Barbados Today that people who want to enter active politics or serve at the executive level of government should be able to do so on merit and not excluded on the basis of their sexual preferences.
We don't know, but it may be that we have had persons of different orientations in cabinets before, and that is, to me, that is not the basis on which they're there. That is not the guiding factor. The guiding factor are their particular abilities and qualities that we need to call on.
The wait for elections in Barbados has affected plans by Chinese officials to proceed with efforts to expand agricultural cooperation. Ye Anping, Deputy Director General of the Department of International Cooperation in the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs in China, says plans to send a delegation to the island in either May or June may be put on hold. Barbados has signed a Memorandum of Understanding on Agricultural Cooperation, under which teams from Beijing are to travel to Bridgetown to conduct special sessions and seminars and organize training courses and in exchange for an exchange of information. But with Prime Minister Frandel Stewart yet to announce a date for elections, which are constitutionally due by June, Beijing is in waiting mode. But Anping stressed there is a clear willingness by Barbadian authorities to engage in cooperation with China on agriculture. And he said discussions are still underway on how to promote that cooperation. And ahead in Newsline Sport, we'll tell you when West Indies will open their 2019 Cricket World Cup campaign. Stay with us. Sport is next.
The Career Development Institute's Caribbean Rising Stars in Beauty competition determines the best and most talented in hair, makeup, nails, or barbering. Win a scholarship and prizes worth more than $5,000. Build your clientele and expand your business. Upload 4 photographs of your best work to our email address. Watch the public vote on our Facebook page. Join the winners at the prestigious Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center for a live finals competition. Email careerdevelopment.institute@yahoo.com. The Career Development Institute, bringing bringing the best in regional beauty together.
FAS Promotions, in association with Q100.7 FM, present the Mount Gay Extra Old Vintage Reggae Show and Dance. Doors open 7 p.m., showtime 9 p.m. Featuring the legends of reggae, Ernie Smith.
And if I could have just one dream,
Freddie McGregor. JC Lodge. Leroy Gibbons. Tony Tuff. Johnny Osborne. Josie Wales. Troubadours International, Little Rick and DJ Frog, DJs King Scorpion, Black Cat, Daddy Fabian, and Alvin Thomas. MC Admiral. Get your tickets from the official box offices or ticketlinks.com. The Mount Gay Extra Old Vintage Reggae Show and Dance, Friday, April 27th, Kensington Oval. It's going to be a night to remember.
Two-time winners West Indies will open their 2019 World Cup campaign against nemesis Pakistan at the end of next month in their bid for a third title in the International Cricket Council's premier 50 overs showpiece. While the world governing body is set to officially unveil the full schedule for the event, the fixtures were leaked on Wednesday for the May 30th to July 14th tournament in England and Wales. West Indies will take on Pakistan in Nottingham on May 31, having not beaten the Asian side in a bilateral series in 27 years and winning just 4 of the last 19 ODIs against them. The Caribbean side will clash with world champions Australia on June 6th, also in Nottingham, before facing South Africa 4 days later in Southampton. Jason Holder's side will then do battle with host England on June 14th in Southampton and take on Bangladesh in Taunton 3 days later. The Windies will lock horns with New Zealand on the 22nd of June and India on the 27th in 2 Manchester fixtures, and they will battle Sri Lanka at Chesley Street on July 1st before wrapping up their preliminary campaign on July 4th against Afghanistan in Leeds. All 10 teams will play each other in the preliminaries, with the top 4 progressing to the semi-finals carded for Manchester and Birmingham on July 19th and 11th. Cricket West Indies Chief Executive Johnny Grave plans to meet with a quartet of exiled players following the Indian Premier League in an attempt to clear up the uncertainty surrounding their availability. Neither Darren Bravo, older brother Dwayne, Sunil Narayan nor Kieran Pollard have played for West Indies in recent times, leading to speculation over their future in the international arena. But with West Indies facing a heavy upcoming playing schedule, Graves said it was important there was clarity for selectors regarding the 4 players. Graves said, and I quote, "Darren Bravo has refused selection on a number of occasions now, so we can't continually go back to him every time we have a match and ask if he wants to be part of it. Dwayne hasn't played for quite a while in any of our sides and said he does not see his future playing international cricket. So we've asked him for a meeting to see if that is his first position." Grave added that the problem we have at this moment is that there is a huge amount of uncertainty where some players say they are not available and then suddenly they are available. End of quote. Controversy flared when Pollard, Narayan and Darren Bravo declined selection for the ICC World Cup qualifiers in Zimbabwe, indicating other commitments. Graves said the current situation which obtained was one which needed to be addressed in the interest of the overall development of the squad, and especially with the World Cup set for England next year. Meanwhile, West Indies T20 star Kieron Pollard extended his poor form in the Indian Premier League as Mumbai Indians crashed to their 5th defeat of the new season with a 31-run loss to Sunrisers Hyderabad in a low-scoring encounter, and that took place on Tuesday. Opting to bowl first at the Wankhede Stadium, the hosts limited Sunrisers to 118 all out in the 19th over, with captain Kane Williamson and veteran Yusuf Pathan jointly top scoring with 29. They were just 2 of 4 to reach double figures and the only ones to pass 20. Leg spinner Megyak Mark and along with seamers Hardik Pandya and Mitchell McClingan all finished with 2 wickets apiece, and in reply, Mumbai were bundled out for a disappointing 87 with 7 balls remaining, with openers Suyar Kumar top scoring with 34 and Krunal Pandya getting 24. They were the only 2 batsmen to reach double figures, adding 40 for the 3rd wicket, but Mumbai collapsed from 61 for 3, losing their last 7 wickets for 26 runs. We turn our attention now to football. Theodore Whitmore will lead the Reggae Boys into battle against St. Kitts and Nevis and Antigua and Barbuda in 2 international friendlies this week. It will be his first test since withdrawing his resignation as head coach. Whitmore's colleagues are relieved that he's back on the team. TVJ's Renato Brown has that story.
With his resignation withdrawn, coach Theodore Whitmore left the island with the remaining players of the Reggae Boys squad, who will play St. Kitts and Nevis and Antigua and Barbuda in 2 friendly internationals. However, Whitmore wasn't prepared to give a comment.
Well, it's important to have Tapper back with us, because I'll tell you this, his record is good, and his record could be compared with many overseas coaches that have traveled this land, and the results are there. Most recently, he was Gold Cup finalist, and I can tell you that the program is in the right direction. It's important for him to be around. The staff that is supporting him is also important, and I think the players that are selected are players that he thinks is capable, and these are the players that he'll be looking at, and then as we go along, we'll definitely make some changes and do things timely as we progress.
Puma United's Damana Solomon is fresh from lifting the National Premier League title, but now wants to lift the lid on another phase of his career.
I would love to get actually my first cap in the national team, and hopefully I'm looking forward to get it in these 2 games coming up.
And the central defender feels he has put in the work this season that should earn him that cap.
Well, actually I put in a lot of work this season, so actually my hard work that I actually put in this season paid off by getting me back where I was before.
Defensively, the team has struggled, culminating in a late equalizer against Antigua in their last friendly, but central defender Sean Laws is hoping to fix that issue.
Well. And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
FAS Promotions, in association with Q100.7 FM, present the Mount Gay Extra Old Vintage Reggae Show and Dance. Doors open 7 p.m., showtime 9 p.m. Featuring the legends of reggae, Ernie Smith.
And if I could have just one dream,
Freddie McGregor.
Remember the time.
JC Lodge. Leroy Gibbons. Tony Tuff. Johnny Osborne. Josie Wales. Troubadours International, Little Rick and DJ Frog, DJs King Scorpion, Black Cat, Daddy Fabian, and Alvin Thomas, MC Admiral. Get your tickets from the official box offices or ticketlinks.com. The Mount Gay Extra Old Vintage Reggae Show and Dance, Friday, April 27th, Kensington Oval. It's going to be a night to remember.
watching on May 12th as the Anthony N. Sapka Caribbean Awards for Excellence is broadcast live from the Pegasus Hotel in Jamaica. Join us from 6:30 p.m. as Kai Miller of Jamaica, Noel and Siobhan Joseph of Trinidad and Tobago, Andrew Boyle of Guyana, and Adesh Ramsubat of Trinidad and Tobago receive $500,000 TT, a medal and citation for their work in the arts, sciences, public and civic contributions, and entrepreneurship.
That's Caribbean Newsline. Do have yourselves a good night.